Welcome in to Varsity Vibe. Hope you guys have had a great weekend, and it is great to be with you once again. I'm your host, Alyssa Orange, and this time, like we were last week, joined by Alex Holland. We had so much fun breaking down the not state champions. This whole like state final, state tournament thing, it trips me up every time.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome in to Varsity Vibe. Good to be with you. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys got to watch some basketball because I know that we did. And it's always good to be with you. I'm Alyssa Orange and he is Alex Hall. And we are joining you once again because we are ready to get to Hot Springs. We're ready to crown some state champions in basketball. And man, Alex, we had a crazy week. First off, if you watched our breakdown of the state tournament, thank you. If you commented, thank you. If you gave Alex grief, thank you. We appreciate all of those things and all the interaction. And so we're excited to break down what's going to happen this week in Hot Springs. But before we do that, Alex, you were all over the state with our creators, just getting content and being at games and putting it out there on our social media. And you saw a lot, right? You saw some upsets. You saw some things play out like we thought. We saw some fights. We saw some surprises for sure. And so I want to see what really you took away from last week's state tournament action.
So I was at 2A, 5A, and 6A, and I think what I take away from this weekend that I think is the biggest headline is actually coming out of 4A. Look at the P Ridge girls. I mean, the 4 seed, the Cinderella comes out. They're headed to Hot Springs. Central shocked the state. They're another 4 seed that's going back to Hot Springs. JJ Andrews went down, right? I mean, Farmington boys came out and they kind of surprised everybody. And then they went down. Marion ended up beating them in Farmington. There's a lot of headlines that stuck out to me over this weekend. Alyssa, what stood out to you?
Yeah, I think when I was paying attention, because I was at the GAC tournament covering that in Fort Smith, everyone down there, by the way, had their phones out watching the girls play. And so for them to get that overtime win against Bentonville was a big deal. And then unfortunately turning around and falling for all the Northside fans, right, and who were there watching GAC basketball to fall to North Little Rock. But what a story for the North Little Rock girls. And that'll be a really exciting thing for them to get to go back to Hot Springs. That stood out to me. I mean, P Ridge, like you mentioned, was huge. I think Central going back under Shelby Lewis and the way that they've kind of really had growing pains throughout the season is a really cool storyline. And then, I mean, just Bryant taking care of business doesn't shock anyone either. So it was a really fun weekend and week of basketball. And of course, if you missed any of it, Varsity Vibes got it on our social media platform. So you can go check that out as well. But man, this is it, right? You head to Hot Springs for a reason. And we've talked about this. It is my first time to experience the state tournament in Hot Springs, and the way that they have sectioned off the games this year are by classification. So your 1A and 2A are on Thursday, your 3A and 4A are on Friday. And what a Saturday it's going to be with 5A and 6A basketball really taking center stage on Saturday down in Hot Springs. I'm excited. Alex, I know you're going to be there with me. So let's look at these matchups. And let's start with the 6A boys in two teams, which you did predict out of Central Arkansas, going to the 6A state finals in Bryant and Central, but not the two teams you thought.
Right. No, Central took down North Little Rock and Bryant, and what a crowd. I mean, the fans from both schools really came out to Bryant, and that was so much fun. I mean, North Little Rock was rowdy, Central was rowdy. In the end, Central wins 70-63. They're going back to Hot Springs, and I think Bryant needs to be worried about this Central team. They're coming in with a lot of momentum. Coach Lewis is going to have them ready. I think that Central has a serious opportunity here to, kind of take that crown from Bryant. I don't know if that's what I'm going to pick. I'm not saying that, but I think that Central is scary.
I think right now they always just say sometimes it's about how you're playing, not necessarily being the best team all season, right? When it comes to tournament time. And Bryant is a team that has always just been pretty steady despite some, hiccups here and there throughout the season. But Central is an interesting story. And talking to Coach Lewis a few weeks ago after they came back from that trip to Alaska, he really felt like that trip to Alaska helped unify them as a team. And you're kind of seeing that a little bit now on the basketball court. You know what I mean? Like they're playing a
Absolutely.
little different. They're playing a little bit more together, not necessarily saying that they weren't. I think that trip did something to them. So it's cool to see them back. They won in 2024, but Coach Lewis was an assistant on that team, going to try to win it as the head coach at Central. So I really like that one. On the girls' side, this one, not a surprise with Harbor and North Little Rock.
Yeah, this is actually what we both picked this. We
Yeah.
both thought North Little Rock and Harbor would be in this. And
Yep.
and I'm sticking by my pick on this one. I'm rocking with the Charging Wildcats. I'm going with
Okay.
North Little Rock. That's who I ended up picking. I think you said you've got Harbor in this game.
Yeah, I like this Harbor team. I think they're scrappy. I think they're a lot of fun to watch. I think that they um, are just a really good unified team. They communicate well. Coach Kimberly Jenkins has them playing really well right now. But so does, Coach Fimple at North Little Rock. So I'm still gonna say Harbor, but I think this one is going to come down to the wire.
Both of these teams have really good shooters, and I
Hmm.
think this is going to be one of the better games that we see all weekend.
Hmm.
I'm really excited for this North Little
Yeah.
Rock Harbor game.
So basically be in the stands on Saturday is what you're saying.
Be there.
Okay. So on to the 5A. And as you mentioned, Marion knocking off Farmington at Farmington, which I think was a little bit of a surprise for people, especially with Farmington playing at home. And still, they had just come off of beating JJ Andrews and Little Rock Christian Academy from the night before. And so this was a 6-point win in favor of Marion. They're going to play Parkview. What do you think about this matchup?
This is a fun matchup. We picked Parkview to be in the state championship. I did not pick Marion to be in the state championship.
Yeah.
Got a chance to see them over the weekend. They look really good.
Hmm.
They had a couple of tough losses earlier in the season that I was judging them off of. They lost 91-47 to Little Rock Christian back in November. But kind of like you said about Central, you're not playing for a championship in November. It's kind of how you progress as a team
Yeah.
throughout the season. Marion has progressed. I
Mhm.
think they play really good basketball, and I think Parkview should be worried, kind of like Bryant should be worried about Central. I think Marion is ready to make a name for themselves, and I'm actually going to change up my pick here. I'm going with Marion to win
Okay.
the state championship. I think that Marion's going to beat Parkview. I think it's going to be a game. I think this one comes down to the wire. But and I'm probably going to get some slander for this, I'm sure. However, after the eye test, sorry, Wink, I'm going with Marion.
Okay. All right. Well, I think you make some solid points there, and I think Marion has been a good team all year. They've just finally kind of gotten things going when it mattered the most, and making a run through that 5A state tournament there in Farmington. From the girls, I think what is surprising. Mountain Home is going to take on Farmington, and I think anyone who's looking at this just says, "Great, the Cardinals are going to win another one." What do you think?
I think Farmington is going to be ready for this game. I think
Yeah.
Mountain Home is also going to be ready for this game. How do you prepare for Easton McCullough, right? Now, here's the thing. Mountain Home has a girl. I'm blanking on the name right now. Mountain Home has a girl on their team that plays on AAO with Easton on the same program, and so they know each other well. I think that Miss McCullough, she's on with the summers at AAO, so she's watching everything. So I think that Farmington is going to be ready because all of those girls on Farmington, they all play together in the summer,
Right.
so
Right.
they all know each other. And one of the stars at Mountain Home, she plays with them as well. So these girls are all going to know each other out there on the court, which is really fun.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm blanking on the name right now. That's something that I should know. But I think this is the first time in 31 years that Mountain Home Girls has been back to Hot
Mhm.
Springs and competed for a state title. It might have been at Barton Coliseum 31 years ago. I don't know if it was even in Hot Springs.
Sure.
Um, I think Mountain Home has had a great season. I'm rocking with Farmington. Alyssa, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great story. Mountain Home is, right? Even though they were a 2 seed, but going all the way back to the state finals, trying to win a state title, it's great. You'll love it for sport. I just think Farmington is too solid of a team, and I think they're too talented of a team to lose this game, and I think that they win it. Let's go to the 4A, right? They played that in Morrilton. The 4A on the boys' side, you have Hall and Mills, and I don't think that surprised you at all.
No, it didn't surprise me. I thought that Hall had a really good chance to beat Brooklyn, which is who I picked to be in the state championship. I picked Lane Webster and Brooklyn to end up being in Hot Springs against Mills. However, I was wrong on that one. I was right on Mills, but Hall proved me wrong.
Mhm.
Shocker. I should have rocked with Hall, seeing as it's my last name. But Michael Moore played amazing this past week.
Mhm.
I think that Hall is ready to play in the state championship. I think they're going to give Mills a run for their money. However, I'm rocking with the Comets. I picked them to win a long time ago. I picked them to win last week. I'm rocking with Anthony Hester and the Mills Comets to go back to back. However, don't count out Michael Moore. That's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. I love it. All right. Here we go. We mentioned this at the top of the show, P Ridge 4A. And Alex, sometimes they say things happen for a reason, right? And the path that P Ridge was on probably pissed them off when the bracket came out because of that loss to Pottsville. People have obviously opinions on how that game ended. They end up being a 4 seed. Pottsville is a 2 seed on the other side. You know, it's it's crazy because now you look back and I think that P Ridge was placed exactly where they needed to be to see success and make it all the way. And that's exactly what they did. Where you look at their first game, knocking off the 1 seed in Highland, then they beat Heber Springs, then they beat Robinson, and now they're in Hot Springs. And this, Cinderella-esque run is exciting and it's an exciting story. But P Ridge has kind of had this way about the way they play all season long. So it's a surprise, yet it's not. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense. Uh, you know, I agree. I think, the Pottsville game seriously locked them in, right? They were ready after that game. They felt like they got cheated. And they've showed it out there on the court. They're out there hooping every game. They're competing with the best that 4A has to offer. And like you
Mhm.
said, everything happens for a reason. I think this team is the team of destiny right now. I'm rocking with
Mhm.
the Lady Hawks to
Okay.
beat PA. I'm
Yeah.
changing my pick. P Ridge is
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
beat PA and Greenlee Elmore in Hot Springs. I'm going with the 4 seed. Give me the Cinderella. PA's going down.
Okay. All right. We'll lock that in. Let's go to the 3A boys and Osceola getting through their own tournament. They're going to play Newport in the 3A boys side of things. What do you think about this matchup?
Gosh, how long has it been since Newport's been in the state championship? I mean, I've been covering this for a long time. I don't remember Newport being in the state championship for a while. You'd probably have
Yeah.
to fact check me on that one.
We can look
But
it up. We always can fact check you. We'll get you.
yeah, Osceola or Osceola, however you're supposed to
Mhm.
pronounce it. I'm rocking with the Seminoles. I think that they win the state championship. They were there last year. I think that they go back and I think they go back to back. I think this is new water, right? For excuse me, I'm blanking. Who are they playing? I don't have the bracket pulled up.
Newport.
Newport.
Mhm.
That's right. I just think it's new waters for Newport, and OCO has been there, done that. I like their coach. I think they have a good program, and I'm rocking with the Seminoles.
Yeah, I hope everyone understands that if you're watching and you know me, just by namesake alone, I'm going to say go Knowles. And Osceola gets themselves a state title in Hot Springs for the 3A boys side. All right, on the girls side, you have Manila and McGee. What do you think about this matchup?
Man, I picked Episcopal. They lost in overtime in the Elite Eight to McGee. And then
Yeah.
I picked Greenland. They lose in the Final Four by 2 possessions to Manila. Man, three A was tough to pick.
Hmm.
I'm going with McGee. I think McGee wins this
Okay.
game. I think Manila is fun to watch. I did actually get to see a
Okay.
little bit of the clips over the weekend. I'm going with McGee. They beat my state champion. They beat Episcopal. I'm
Sure.
rocking with McGee in Hot Springs.
Okay. All right, here's the deal. Not to bury the lead here, but the 2A boys tournament. Alex, your thoughts on what has
Uh,
happened and what happened and between Barton and England. Barton won that game. They're slated to go to the state tournament. They're going to play Mount Vernon and NOLA. But what happened at the end of that game?
I picked Mount
It was
Vernon Anola
crazy that's out there.
to play against England, who obviously ended up falling short in the Final Four by 1 point to Barton. That game, I mean, that's tough. I mean, do I say what I really want to say? No. I think that the refs need to do a better job of making sure that stuff like that doesn't happen. You need to stop the game before it gets to that point. You know, I just I think it's a bad look for Arkansas, and I wish it didn't happen. Obviously,
Mhm.
Poland's probably never gonna host again after something like that happens. A small town of 290. That's a very unfortunate situation, and I wish that Barton didn't have to see a player get possibly suspended or ejected for the first half or however that's going to play out for Hot Springs. You don't ever want to see a kid be penalized for that. But in this situation, I mean, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's crazy, and I know there's, video out there, and people saw it on the live stream, and it is sad because it takes away from one, I mean, our group chat just thought so highly of the way that Poyen ran that tournament in general and
Oh
just how
yeah,
kind they were to the media, how well run it was, how accommodating they were. And I think it takes away from the fact that they ran a really good tournament. And the only thing people are talking about from the 2A is what happened at the end of that Barton England game. And I think that's what's disheartening for someone like me is it takes away from, everything and the effort and the people who put that together, that's what they're talking about. So again, a crazy, crazy thing. I mean, people were talking about it. There were people sitting in the stands at Northside again during the GAC tournament talking about what was going on with 2A basketball in Poyen. That's how quickly that spread. I'm serious. So yeah, I mean, again, disheartening that it all happened, but that's how it played out, and that's what it looks like on the boys' side. If we switch to the girls' side real fast, it was a little bit of a shock, I think, and you would agree that Poyen got knocked out on the girls' side of their own tournament
yes.
relatively quickly in that second round. And so you've got Sloan Hendricks and Quitman heading to the finals for the 2A girls side. What are your thoughts?
I'm going Sloan Hendricks. I think Sloan Hendricks is rocking with a lot of momentum right now. And,
Hmm.
I think they're going to carry that on in Hot Springs. And I think they leave Bank OZK Arena with a ring.
Okay. All right. Quickly down here to the 1A boys side, you have Clarendon and Earl. Who you got?
Oh, I'm
Didn't you
rocking with
pick
Earl.
Earl?
Give me
Okay.
the
You
Earl.
picked Earl.
Yeah.
You've been rocking with Earl from the beginning.
Yeah. Give me Earl.
Okay.
I got Earl winning it all.
Okay. All right. And then West Side and Earl on the girls' side.
So I actually picked this. I picked 1A girls and 6A girls correctly. And
Okay.
1A is really hard to pick because you're just going off resume. You don't have, there's
Sure.
not a lot of film to watch. So I'm very happy with that pick.
Mhm.
Give me Earl. I'm going
Okay.
Earl. Earl
Okay.
boys and girls. Special moment going down on day one. You've
Okay.
got the Earl boys and the Earl girls winning a state championship in Hot Springs. Give me
Well,
the Bulldogs.
that would be a very special way to end the first day for sure. So we'll see if you're right. Again, lock in those picks, Alex, because people
Well,
comment in the comments.
I do want to go back
Yeah.
and touch on 2A boys real quick. I'm
Okay.
sticking with Mount Vernon and Nola.
Okay.
I picked Mount Vernon and Nola to make the championship. I picked England to win it all, right? They lose by 1 point in the final four. That's tough. The end of that game was horrible. I think everybody would agree with that. Barton ends up being in that spot. I'm going with Mount Vernon and Nola to win the state championship
Okay. All
in
right. So you
2A.
got your locks in. Now, you're not changing your
6A.
pick. I want everyone to know at home, Alex has locked in his picks. We're not changing them. But if I had to say,
Okay.
if something crazy were to happen at this tournament, it would be what?
Central. Central wins it all. Central
Yeah.
takes down Bryant.
Golly, that'd be crazy.
I agree. No, and the crowd would go nuts, right? I mean,
That's
the
like
4 seed.
Saturday night
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah, they saved the best for last. I think on day 2 you start off with 3A, right? So the
Mhm.
night game would be the 4A girls would be the night game. So P Ridge Pulaski Academy is going to be so much fun. I think that's going to be the second most fun game just because of the storyline behind P Ridge, the
Yeah.
gameplay from Pulaski Academy and Greenlee Elmore. I think this game is going to be so much fun. Um, I think if P Ridge can win it all, I mean, what a story.
That's true. No, I agree. For me, I think one a crazy thing would happen just because it doesn't feel like this is a team that they Farmington girls don't beat themselves,
No,
right?
no,
They
no.
have they have off moments, but they don't beat themselves. If there's something crazy that's not Central beating Bryant, it's Mountain Home girls beating Farmington.
Agreed. 100%. I just
I'm
don't foresee that happening.
I don't yeah, but it would be crazy.
You're right,
Because
100%.
that's a team that just doesn't beat themselves. So, I
And
think what
those
is it? They haven't lost to a team in the state of Arkansas in 4 years,
don't get me lying, it's been
something
a
like
while,
that.
and,
It's something like that. It's something crazy like that.
they
So again,
moved from 4A up to
if something
5A.
crazy were to happen, it would be that. But, don't come at us in the comments. We're just,
You know they will.
having some fun. Oh, they will. Of course they will. They're gonna
So, I
win.
know it was
Arkansas's gonna
probably
win, guys. It's
in
fine.
insinuated, but, I did not state a state winner for 6A. I'm going with Bryant. I think Bryant wins,
Okay.
and,
I think you did though. But
okay,
yes. Yeah.
I'm going with Bryant.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, man. It is going to be fun. And again, it starts on Thursday in Hot Springs with the 1A and the 2A, the 3A and the 4A play Friday. And then Saturday is the 5A and the 6A. You're going to be down there covering it for Varsity Vibe. I'm actually a part of the broadcast team for either the AAA or the Buzz on the radio, alternating back and forth. So I'm excited to kind of sit in the broadcast chair and talk about these basketball games and talk to these coaches and players leading up to it. So a big, fun, exciting week for high school basketball here in the state of Arkansas. And speaking of baseball and softball, that's getting going too. And man, once
Yeah.
this Saturday is done, Alex, we turn our page and we start talking about softball, baseball, soccer, all the spring sports.
Yep.
So it's never
Foot
ending.
stays on the gas pedal, and then you've got
Right, right.
spring basketball right around the corner.
Right,
You've
and
got
oh yeah, hey, by the way, spring football, and then football,
yeah,
and then right, it just is never ending. So,
the McDonald's All
this
American game. We actually got confirmed for that this weekend. We're going to
yes,
be there, so
yep,
we
yep, Alex is gonna go to the
the
McDonald's
plate.
All-American game. I mean, we don't sleep, so it's totally
No,
fine.
plate is full.
Thanks for joining us as always, Alex. This is always fun, being able to kind of sit here and banter back and forth with you. And I know a lot of people who watch it love to watch it, love to comment, love to give their opinions as well. And so we encourage you to do so. And we're excited. If you are in Hot Springs, come say hello to us. And if not, just make sure to tune in to Varsity Vibe on our social media platforms. Alex, creatives, all the people we had out there killing it, bringing the people what they want from a content perspective on our social media platforms. That is X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Also sign up for our newsletter at varsityvibearkansas.com, as well as subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. For Alex Hall, I'm Alyssa Orange. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.